Welcome to the Retrospect podcast, a show where people come together from different walks of life and discuss a topic from their generation's perspective. My name is Ian, and as always, I'm joined by Stoney.
Hello.
And Jason.
Hello, everyone.
How's everyone's day going so far?
Pretty good. It's getting a little chilly.
Yeah, it's going to be getting cold tonight.
Last Christmas was hot, so I'm so glad that this year we're going to get some cool weather.
Yeah, I like it too. I'd
We'll
rather
have
be
a
cold than
cold
hot.
Christmas.
Yes, we will.
And I love that.
And
so
for
much.
South Louisiana to be able to say that.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's not going to be chilly.
Yeah.
It's going to be cold.
Yeah.
Freezing.
It's going to be in the teens.
Yeah, this is unusual cold weather for us.
Right.
But
So-
Jason, what's really good in cold weather?
Hot gumbo.
Hot
Oh, gosh.
gumbo.
And I have to say this, that I believe it was said on the last episode that Stoney was going to be cooking for where he works.
Uh-oh.
And I had the opportunity to actually sample some of his wonderful gumbo, and I
Okay.
will tell you that it was probably the best gumbo I've ever
Oh,
eaten in my
wow.
life.
Wow.
And
I've
I've eaten a lot of gumbo. I really do. I mean,
That's not hard here in South Louisiana, is
and
it?
I've eaten a lot of gumbo, and a lot of different people have their own little ways of cooking it, and I have to put Stoney's at the top.
Wow.
And
Thanks.
I never thought I really would say that, because I've had some really good gumbo from several people, and Stoney A+.
Thank you.
I mean,
that was a big pot too, wasn't
yes.
it? That was a big
I mean,
pot
when
of
I
gumbo.
tell you restaurant grade, it was delicious.
That's awesome.
So
Thank you.
I just want to say
I think
still thinking
everybody at
about
work enjoyed it. There was a moment there where it got real quiet, and
everybody
we
was,
talked about that moment.
everybody was eating.
Yeah. One of my bosses walked by and he goes, "Stoney, listen, nobody's talking," because he's heard the podcast before when we were talking about that quiet moment, and he was
Right.
picking on me about that. And,
That's awesome.
and then luckily, Jason was able to stop by and visit for a little while and
That's cool.
partake in some gumbo.
Oh, potato salad, gumbo, man.
The only thing about the cookie was that I actually gave you guys the one remaining cookie because there was one left, but obviously it was like a day after they were baked and it was in the fridge, so you guys didn't get the prime experience.
That's
but,
okay.
You guys got.
I really
both.
want another cookie.
Me too.
I really
We
think you
were
need to make
hoping.
some
We
more
even
cookies.
talked about it. We were hoping you made us a special batch.
Oh, sorry.
For your cohorts on the podcast.
Oh man, this week if this week wasn't as crazy as it was, I would have considered it.
Okay.
I had a chocolate chip cookie today for lunch.
There you go.
Yes, brown butter.
Oh yeah, that's exactly what goes into mine.
Uh-oh.
Well, then
Write that down. We're
there's a
getting part of the
reason
secret.
I like it so
Mhm.
much.
Yeah. The one thing I got told from the guy who came up with the recipe, he said you got to be careful whenever you make this batch of cookies, because once you start browning the butter is when everyone starts to come out and ask what you're cooking.
Mm-hmm.
No one really knows what's going on until you start like really cooking the butter, and then once you get it to like that sweet spot where like the browning takes place, it has that nutty quality, has that nice cooked. It has like a sweeter quality to it in a way. All of a sudden, people start asking, like, it smells good in here. What's going on?
So what? You take like a stick of butter in a pan and just let it
Two sticks.
two stick. Oh, that's even better.
I know. Yeah, they're like the blocks. They're like are like 2 sticks or whatever.
What brand do you use? Do you have a particular brand of butter you like?
Kerrygold. I'm like an Irish butter guy.
Okay.
I like Kerrygold.
One of my friends, he has a restaurant in the capital city of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, in downtown, and it's called Cafe Mimi's. And hello, Stephen. I'll just go ahead and put that out
Right.
there. And he makes probably the best biscuits on the planet.
Oh,
And
so good.
his secret, he told me about it. They actually put 2 sticks of butter in the pan where they put it, and they put it in there and they heat it up, and then they just put the biscuits in that and then flip them and then bake them.
Oh,
I mean, how do you go wrong with butter?
You can't.
You can't.
I'm telling you,
butter and bacon. You
Yeah,
just can't.
You've just read my mind. That's the two things that to me that makes food taste so good is butter and bacon. That's just so bad for you.
Right.
but it's so good.
It's so good.
There's a few other secret ingredients in the cookie that make it special. One of them is fresh ground espresso. So one thing that's in the cookie is I'll take espresso beans, not usually a whole lot.
Sure.
But it's enough that like you can taste it.
Gotta give it a little
Well,
kick.
there's always a little, one of the things for the Texas championship cook-offs, the secret ingredient for a couple of years in a row was chocolate.
Oh, yeah.
Well, one guy was putting crushed Oreos in it.
There you go.
And you're going, you wouldn't think espresso and chocolate chip cookies, where you're certainly not going to think Oreo cookies and chili.
Yeah.
But sometimes you just find this one little match that works.
Yeah.
And
With the dark chocolate that I use in like the chip or the chunks, whatever you want to call it, it just goes hand in hand.
Mhm.
Just a little bit of like the both of the, because I use two different kinds of chocolate, and so they all three kind of complement each other, because one's like a more bitter chocolate, it's bitter espresso flavor. You have this sweeter chocolate to kind of, I don't know. So like I said, it's been a long time. For those of you who listened to last episode, the recipe was a long time in the making, and it wasn't something that happened overnight.
But luckily, in the last episode, he said that it was over his dead body that we would get the recipe. But
I did not say
I still want a chocolate chip cookie.
Because
I didn't say
he was
that.
mad at me for saying something about Friendsmas and getting all the people to do a Friendsmas episode. But
well, no, I'm pretty sure for those of you at home, you can say it with me. I said that there's only a few people that know the recipe in case something happens. But
well, I'd like to be one of those people. I'm just saying.
It's contained in this sacred book, probably.
You're right, yeah. It's the ancient tome from it's locked away in a tomb somewhere.
That's right. Well, one of the things in this podcast we've discussed, especially since we got Jason to join us, has been the weather in Louisiana.
Oh, yeah. It's always a hot topic of conversation, I feel like.
And we were going to do kind of our end of the year review, but I think we're going to wait till next week to do that, because right now the main news here is, guess what? The weather.
It's going to be cold this year.
There is, normally in Louisiana, we get a named storm. It's a hurricane or tropical storm coming up from the south.
It always comes from the south. Yeah.
And now we have a named storm, and it's called Blizzard Apocalypse, and the name is Elliot. And it is a once-in-a-generation blizzard-type event. Now, I don't think we'll get the blizzard conditions, but we're going to get the almost zero condition. We're getting down into the mid-teens.
Yeah.
This is insane.
It's going to get cold.
Just to put things in perspective, I'm pretty sure that last Christmas was probably 76, 78.
Right. It was a warm Christmas. It was a hot Christmas.
Yeah, right. So, I mean, again, for some people out there probably thinking like, oh, that's not so bad. But for us, like with our humidity around here, like it gets pretty stifling. Like I would definitely turn the AC down to a moderate temperature, which I'm like, for Christmas, you don't want to be fanning yourself with the AC
you want
on.
it to be chilly.
Yeah, you want to bundle up with a hot chocolate. So if we're sitting here like,
turn the AC on to 68 degrees.
Give me a glass of ice water, not hot chocolate.
It was raining out there, so I mean, if there's some water on that ground, that temperature really drops, and they're talking about it dropping very fast. I mean, you could have some ice problems tomorrow on some of the overpasses.
One of the main news events about this is 9,000 flights have been canceled today.
Oh, I don't doubt it.
So going into the weekend, going into the actual Christmas holiday, I think this episode will air the day after Christmas.
Yeah, correct.
And so we're kind of recording, kind of going into Christmas. We did it a little bit early because we want to spend time with our families and such. And it's just 9,000. I mean, and if you think about all the people that are going to be traveling Thursday and Friday, and possibly even Saturday. Going into the Christmas, that's insane.
Yeah, I've got my in-laws. They're actually traveling up to Monroe, Louisiana, today. So it's going to be really cold up there.
I bet
it's about 4 hours, I think, north of our location.
That's crazy.
Wow.
I mean, the thing is, with all the flights being canceled, I'm pretty sure it's like numerous reasons, like having like workers, pilots and attendants and all that kind of stuff, making sure they're safe as well. Not only like is your getting to and from a location, it's going to be hard because it's going to be so cold, but also it's like, I mean, you have to guarantee you got workers that can be there safe.
Sure.
and take care of them as well. So it's like,
But also the safety of de-icing the plane.
that's what I'm saying.
There's going to be so much going on. There's no amount of people that can take care of all those planes at the same time.
Right.
There's going to be a lot of locations below zero.
I believe it.
I mean, wind chills
This is the one
very
thing.
dangerous.
This is obviously a bigger conversation that is like I don't want to get into because I don't have all the statistics for, but it is like the whole global warming conversation of like, temperatures rising and things going crazy is like this. It's moments like this that made me feel like that made me kind of nervous for like the future in some way. I'm not really. I mean, I'm worried about like the planet in general. I try to do my best. But it's moments like this that make me worried because it's like it just feels like the weather is so temperamental. It just feels like there's no middle ground. Like for us, it gets like really hot. Like at the beginning part, the first few weeks of December, it was like really hot, and now all of a sudden we're dealing with this like, this far swinging pendulum in like the other direction, and it's like, and I know for a fact that like this past August, I think was like upwards of, it was like, I think it was August and September, it was upwards of like 90 something degrees, which is like far hotter than what I would consider normal for us in some way. So it's like, it's just things like that that made me worried. Like I'm not, like I said, I'm not a professional in any way, but it's just these like far swinging like sweeps in temperature that are like, that can't be good. Like in the long run of like,
I think what worries me about events like this, especially in South Louisiana, we're so prepared and batting down the hatches and sticking it out. Like a hurricane's coming.
Right.
What do we do? We name a drink after it and throw a hurricane party.
Right.
And so we're not really, thinking about what do I need to do to really prepare for this? And there's a lot of elderly people who get caught off guard in the hurricanes, and now power going out. What are you going to do if the power goes out and you can't heat your house? There's a lot of people going to be affected by a storm like this. And in Louisiana, we stand our ground and we tough it out. And I'm just hoping and praying for people right now because this could be bad.
Yep.
Both the energy companies have come out and said prepare for power outages.
Yeah, I think because of the gusty winds. I don't think it'll be because of ice, like I think happened to us a few years ago.
Right.
Where we had the ice storm, because that's when you really have problems.
Well, I remember
with the
growing
ice
up,
storm.
it was every 15 years it snowed in Louisiana.
Yeah.
Then in 80s and 90s, it was every 10 years. Then in the 2000s, it was about every 6 to 8 years. Well, guess what? 2 years ago, we had one, and now we may have another event or possibly one in a couple of weeks again.
Yeah. And that's the thing I'm talking about is like, it's things like that where like this past summertime, August, September, it may have on like a freak summertime gotten like, upwards of 90 degrees, every now and then, but it felt like last summer was really hot. And then we come across like the tail end of this past summer, and I was like, man, it is like sweltering out here. And it's just like things like that are just, these, we had like a little brief moment of cold in like October, November, and it went away for us. And it was up to like 80 something degrees again. I was like, this can't be good. Well, and then now all of a sudden, like you said, it just is.
I think if we get past looking at the long range forecast, I think the 10-day, if once we get past this, it's actually going to moderate again, because I saw highs in the 70s. So
if we look at what's fixing to happen today, in the next 6 hours, we're going to have more than a 30-degree drop.
See, like that can't be good.
And that's what I'm worried about, people. But what Jason is saying is by 7 days from now, we'll be back in the 70s.
That makes me so upset.
Exactly.
Now, for the next 2 days, we're probably not going to leave the freezing mark.
Right.
Yeah.
So once it drops at 30-degree drop.
It's staying there.
It's staying there for 48 hours roughly, and then it starts to creep back up. And by New Year's, New Year's is going to be looking at mid 70s and low in the 60s.
That's what I'm saying. So it's going to be.
I wanted to build a fire outside for New Year's Eve, but that ain't gonna happen.
Well, it will get down in the 50s or 60s,
It'll be
you
cool
might
in
be
the
okay.
evenings.
It'll be cool enough to
Enough
build
for
a small fire.
But you want it kind of.
I want it cold outside. I want us to be popping fireworks and it being like chilly outside. We're all wearing jackets and home
like
around a
40
fire.
degrees.
Last New Year's, I tried to make a fire for us, and as we're all trying to pop fireworks, it was so humid because I think it rained like the day before, maybe. We were all outside and sweating to death. I was like, I can't. I went ahead and put the fire out. I was like, I can't do this. I'm friggin', I'm dying out here.
It's going to stay hot more than it is going to be cold.
I know.
I mean, but this is as bad as this weather event that we're having. It's just not the coldest I've experienced in Louisiana. I mean, I recall back in 1983, I think it got down to like 6. Air temperature, not wind chill, air temperature. I think 89. It was like 8. So we've had
That's crazy.
we've had some really, really cold weather at times. It seems like we're having these.
There's going to be some wind with this one.
Yeah,
there's going to be some serious wind.
I think I saw there's like a gale warning. I saw they posted. So that's 25, sometimes 30-mile-an-hour winds, and that's. When it's cold outside, that's a killer.
I mean, yeah, I think I talked a little bit about that. I'm not sure if I talked about it on the show or not, but that was, like I said before, having a wind chill. It's no good.
All the 3 Ps.
Yeah.
Pets, pipes, and plants.
Right.
Please.
Watch out.
Take care, especially your fur babies.
Yeah.
I have a stray cat at my house that I've been feeding that there's nothing I can do. So I've prepared a little box. I got a bunch of blankets.
Yeah.
I've covered it up. So I've seen it go in there. So I know it's
created or
hopefully it knows what to do. But nature has a way of kind of directing them to seek shelter. Out. So.
Yeah, it's going to get bad, and we just got to be prepared for it. But it's a significant event.
Well, and another thing too is, like you said before, it's almost routine for some people whenever like a storm comes through, like a hurricane. Just like with people up in the north, whenever a blizzard comes through, or snow, or crazy stuff like that happens, or a tornado, or earthquake, pick your poison. Everyone has their kind of their routine. But for us, it's almost like turning it up on end. We don't deal with this very often. Mm-hmm. Just like in the West Coast, they don't hardly ever have to deal with rain. So whenever monsoons for a brief time, everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, I don't know what to do," and they're wrecking their cars and everything else is happening. Same sort of thing for us. No one around here knows how to drive an ice. No one knows how to deal with frozen stuff.
You don't want to deal with that.
Well, it's like when we had Katrina came through here, and
a
couple months later, a Cat 1 goes up to New York, and they call it the storm of the century.
Superstorm Sandy.
Yeah. Really? Y'all do remember what just happened to us right back here, right?
Right.
Okay.
They got to build that up.
You got this. Well, it was an election year or something, wasn't it? Or getting ready for somebody's election. Or
we deal with that all the time.
Right. And that's what I'm saying is so for them, they probably had no preparation at all. Everyone just twiddling their thumbs, waiting for this thing to happen. All of a sudden, some brief wind blows everything over. They're like, "Oh my God, this is catastrophic!" And it's kind of the same thing for us. This blizzard may not be the most catastrophic thing in the world for someone way up north that has preparations for snow stuff, but for us, we ain't got nothing.
No, we're not.
The trees that we have around here is specifically, it's really interesting. Back in 2020, whenever we had the freeze in Texas and Louisiana, the big thing is the trees have strong trunks because of the wind,
right?
But they don't have super strong limbs for the weight of snow and ice.
Mm-hmm.
That's one thing you'll realize is walking around here whenever there's any significant quote unquote what we call snow. More like slush for the people up north, and ice and stuff like that is you'll walk around and hear limbs cracking and snapping and falling from the sky. It's kind of scary.
Yeah, ice storms are the worst. And then we've had snow.
But
when you start getting freezing rain, That's what makes things dangerous because
and that's what they're kind of worried about for tonight. And I'll just go ahead and say it. This is Thursday. We are preparing for the storm coming to us tonight.
Right.
And if it rains or any significant amount of rain, there won't be any time for the water to evaporate or leave the roads.
Right.
And then a 30-degree drop into well below freezing.
Right. Which is going to freeze
there could be ice on the road.
It's going to be ice tomorrow in some areas.
It's crazy.
Yeah, matter of fact, I just saw a news alert come over my phone saying the front is arriving. Expect massive temperature drop.
So it's like the weather harbinger.
Yeah, so it's coming. It's
Ding dong.
It's going to get cold.
Ding dong. The cold.
Has everybody? I assume everybody has made their preparations.
A little bit.
Pipes are insulated, and
yeah, I'm going to go ahead and run. I know this is probably late, but I haven't had any other time to do anything because it's been so busy. I'm preparing for Christmas this week, but I may go run to the store and just go see if I can't pick what scraps remain, just to like make sure in case anything happens, I have, some things, canned goods and stuff like that, bottles of water.
Have you got? Well, I think he was talking. Do you have your pipes wrapped?
Yeah, and I don't have them wrapped right now, but I need to though.
Oh, you better.
Yes,
because they're going to bust.
Your house is elevated, isn't it? If I remember correctly, I think I've only been there once or twice.
Yeah, the pipes need to be insulated.
Yeah,
I would. Otherwise, you're going to. I just think if it stays this temperature as long as they're talking about. I think tomorrow. I think the high is supposed to be like 32 degrees.
Tomorrow? Yeah, I don't think it's supposed to get much higher than that.
Right.
I don't think it gets out of freezing.
Which that's a long duration. That's pipes. That's what kills pipes.
It's so interesting.
Mm-hmm.
That is.
Or at a minimum, make sure your water's running.
Oh, I will.
Yeah, keep.
And something else that I like to tell people too, and they'll learn this living in Aspen, Colorado. When you see the cold coming, don't wait to turn the heat up in your house. Go ahead and turn it up.
Yep.
And in an older house, you want to get that up to 74 to 75 degrees.
That's right.
So that the temperature of the house is warmer, and so the colder weather won't affect it as much.
Yeah.
Because if you give the pipe any chance to freeze, it's
right.
Yeah, we get up to 30 tomorrow. So we won't get out of freezing until sometime Saturday. So the high Saturday is 37.
The thing is, I know that I know I'm supposed to feel a little worried about this, and I know that I am like worried about some people that are not as prepared as probably I am in some way. But I'm not gonna lie, I'm really excited. I'm not excited for all the stuff that's probably gonna, like, all the catastrophe that's probably gonna happen in some way. But for me, it's like I'm just excited to have some cold weather.
You may want to take the hit on the water bill and not drip it, but run the water.
Right.
Have a pretty good, not a full stream,
right,
but have enough stream in that water. Don't just drip it.
Yeah.
Have maybe a what would you say, Jason? Maybe a quarter stream coming out of the faucet.
Just enough where it's continuous.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Trust me when I say I made the mistake 2 years ago. Like, I got it. Like, I know.
If you can do two sides of the house, I would.
Yeah, I will.
Yeah.
Like I said, I have.
We're not fussing.
I know you're not fussing, but what I'm saying is, like, trust me, of all the people that have experienced ice and like shit busting on them, like, I got it.
You've been cold before? Where
yes.
were you?
I mean, no, but what I'm saying is, like, it's the same thing.
Right,
it's like 2 years ago. Like 2 years ago, whenever the freeze happened, like, the house was fine. Like, everything was fine. The only thing that happened was it was a mistake that I did, and I fessed up for it, because we had one faucet in my bathroom going during the freeze.
Yeah.
But then I went to bed. I got up out of bed late one of the nights, washed my hands, and out of instinct, I turned the faucet off all the way and didn't think about it. Went straight back to bed, and that was what busted the pipe.
I do remember you saying that.
So it's like that was. So for me, like I know. I'm like I said, I'm like, my nonchalant attitude is like more so that I'm stressed about other things in my life besides the cold right now. I know the house is going to be okay. I have checks and balances in place.
Cool.
I have things with work that I have to get done with Christmas Eve,
and you got a hosting coming up.
No,
and
I'm not host. Oh, I'm my mom and my brothers are coming. So, that's about
no Friendsmas.
No Friendsmas.
Damn
dude.
it!
We're doing New Year's Eve. If you guys want to come and hang out for New Year's Eve,
you gonna make cookies?
I love it. Jason gets the point for the day. He gets the star because if y'all could have seen Ian's face when Jason said that was freaking fantabulous. That
I
was
had to
awesome.
say it.
I know you did.
You got me thinking of cookies right now,
I know,
just like I'm
you're
thinking
right.
of gumbo right now.
You're
Also, we're
right.
talking about this cold weather.
You're right.
So
Maybe I'll consider it.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
That was awesome. I'm
let's
sorry.
see.
That made my day
see
right
there,
there.
you can make some cookies, and Stoney can bring some of his gumbo over. Hey, I think that's
that's
a
a
winning
party.
combination.
That sounds like
right.
a party to me.
Yeah,
To be honest, I need to go buy some champagne. I haven't done that yet.
Uh-oh.
So
there we go.
DP,
I can
you
bring
getting
some
some
cold.
Dom
I can bring
Perignon?
some cold duck.
yeah,
There
let's
you
do
go.
it.
There we
Look,
go.
cold duck,
Right.
chocolate chip cookies, and gumbo. I mean,
Hey.
it sounds perfect.
I love it. I'm down for it.
I love it.
So, anyways,
I like where this is going.
right.
Then it
So-
turns into New Year's Miss Friends
Friends years? I don't know.
I don't know. What do we call that one?
I just always just. I always
What
just-
Friends
it's
Nuevo.
called? It's called a party.
Friends Nuevo.
I just call it New Year's Eve. I mean, like that's always what I've done. I've always had fun with New Year's Eve with friends. We try to.
Shoot fireworks.
Yeah.
What,
You know,
what,
a
what
little
kind of
discreet.
fireworks do you go get?
I don't. I usually get like bundles of things every now and
Okay.
then. I don't usually go all out. I have some friends that kind of go all out and buy a bunch of
They
stuff.
still make M80s and stuff like
I
that.
think,
I think
so.
so. They're just really hard to get
Yeah.
because the kids
They blow
kids do not
they
do
blow
this.
their hands off.
Well, not only that, but they take them to school and they throw them down the toilet and flush it and destroy the school pipes.
oh
Oh
Lordy.
gosh.
Yeah.
The
Some
big
people need to
thing
get a life.
for 4th of July, I had a friend of mine who got some really big. He brought over a PVC pipe that we put out in the yard, and we're shooting off like the
Roman
or
candles.
no, the artillery shell, like the
Okay.
big, the
Oh,
bigger
the
guys.
big ones. Yeah.
Not like anything super crazy, but like a couple, towards the end of the night with the bigger guys that make a real, big
Well,
display.
we used to shoot bottle rockets at each other and
Yeah.
have bottle rocket wars.
Love
in the
bottle rockets. Bottle rockets and the firecracker. Love Roman candles.
I was just
the
about to
Roman
say, I was like,
candles really could go.
Roman candles were the ones that I had some friends that.
Well, that's what we use as the tracer rounds for the bottle rocket wars. You had one person with the Roman candles.
Once
and
you shot it, it was
two
empty.
Or, two or three, you knew what.
He's got
Yeah.
a makeshift, makeshift rifle, so to speak.
Oh my gosh.
Well,
We had fun.
we have a
yeah.
similar background, don't we?
There you go. Maybe we shouldn't have a party.
Why?
New Year. I'm
Hey,
kidding.
we had to find things to entertain us back then.
I was making a joke at you guys, fashioning your own fireworks together. I was like, I don't know if we should.
Oh yeah, nothing like getting hit by a bottle rocket in the head.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing like a little singed, to spice up your afternoon, I guess.
It was fun. Yeah, some of the things I think back then I look back now would never fly today.
Lord,
Oh
no.
gosh,
Good.
so much.
And it just seemed like, people would raise, hell over
Oh yeah.
over doing that. But nowadays it would be like,
I was born in the mid '90s, so I feel like I was like just on the cusp of like things kind of being still like loose. Like once I started having like conscious memories of like being 6, 7, 8 years old, like around the start, like the turn of the century, is when like my friends, like all the kids that were in my like age bracket, we were like kind of protected in a way, not super crazy. Like I still had like the curfew of like play outside, but whenever the streetlights come on.
right.
Like come back inside. But like, again, there was like some other stipulations. Like I couldn't go so far away from the house or stuff like that. But like now there's kids that like, I don't even think they do any of that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, I don't know. It's just crazy to think about.
Man, this are we going to travel? Are y'all traveling over the next couple of days in this weather? Or are you kind of batting down the hatches, or what are y'all doing?
No,
What do you,
I'm gonna be at my house. I'll go to my parents' house, which they're very, very close by.
Right.
And as I said, my sister's doing. They're traveling a little bit. They're coming back tomorrow, I think.
okay.
I'm not going outside the city limits
But
at all.
no, it's just. I know how I get when it gets that cold. I'm not going to want to leave the house. I do not do well in cold weather.
Dude,
Right.
I'm so opposite.
I do not like cold weather. I really don't.
Well, I'd rather be cold than hot because, to be honest with you, you can only take off so many clothes before it becomes embarrassing, but you can always throw on another sweater.
I was always told you can always throw another piece of clothing, but you can only take off so many before it becomes indecent exposure.
Especially since the beach incident.
Oh, gosh.
The beach incident?
Yeah.
What happened?
It was Greenpeace.
I think I've heard of this.
Greenpeace. You're talking
Yes,
about
I had an incident with Greenpeace. I was
political
actually
group.
Yes, I was actually on the beach with some friends.
Eco-terrorists.
The Greenpeace eco-terrorist showed up and kept pouring water on me and tried to push me back in the water. So
he was a beached whale.
How many of these people were there?
I was big enough they thought I was a beached whale.
How many of these people were there?
Jason, it's a joke.
Oh. Sorry, I'm completely over the head.
That's okay.
And then I end it usually with we'll ignore the harpoon incident.
Oh, no. Please, no.
I was thinking you were...
No, I don't do the beach. I would rather be cold in the mountains and just the fire going, and it's just, I like that more.
Right.
It's way more fun to me.
I usually get, once it gets chilly outside is when I start to get active. I start to do more things. I move around more. I love it. I don't know why. Mm-hmm. Whenever it gets really hot outside, especially like this past summertime, that's when I get lazy. That's when I'm like, we could, but like,
well,
people want to stay in the heat. I would rather stay in the air conditioning.
Right.
I can get out, and I've been -11 before and had a long sleeve shirt on.
It depends on where you're at.
Yeah.
I mean,
I have so many jackets and coats that like I'm always looking for an excuse to wear all the nice coats that I have. So I'm like, once it gets cold and outside, I'm like, yes, finally. So, anyways,
I remember one year it was Christmas Eve. I wanted to come home, and I flew home on Christmas Eve, and I was in Aspen, Colorado, and it was -11. And I flew home on Christmas Eve, and I got off the plane in New Orleans Airport, and it was 85 degrees.
I do not doubt it.
I got hit in the face with this humidity and this
like
heat.
A wall of water.
It was. It literally felt like a wall because I had been there for almost a year at that point in time, and I just could not believe it. It just literally, I felt like I was drowning.
I
had all these clothes
the
on
air
too.
is crisp and clean and.
I brought a friend down when I went to go visit my family whenever I was living in Canada, and it was about like mid-September, and it was starting to get chilly outside up in Canada, and it was nice and same sort of thing. It was like chilly, wasn't quite freezing yet. It was like starting to get really cold and staying that way a little bit. We left the airport, like got outside, the doors opened up, and it had just rained a few hours ago, and it was like mid-afternoon. We opened it, and like you're saying, I feel like I got hit with a wall of hot air, and I was like, oh gosh, what is this? So yeah,
people around the country don't get that.
No,
it is a sensation. Until you can walk through it and feel that hit you like that.
It's the humidity. That's what makes our heat so different. Unbearable. It's just,
but that's also what makes the cold in Chicago so bad when you get that humidity and lake effect wind coming off of the lakes.
Oh yeah.
Even for us, sometimes it can get really humid, and it makes your bones hurt.
Yes.
I'm gonna tell you what. About 38 degrees and raining.
Oh,
that's miserable.
I believe it.
That's miserable.
Yeah. Yeah. So, anyways, the friend that was with me, she was like, "What in the hell is this?" And I was like, "Yep, lovely Louisiana September weather, So, no good.
And when I lived in Aspen, I lived so high, I looked down a mile to see the storm.
Yeah, you told me about that. Yeah,
and it's insane.
What's the elevation out there?
A lot, up to 14,000 is, I think, the highest peak in Colorado.
Where were you at about?
Right under 9,000.
Oh, so you're up there.
Yeah, I was pretty good, and there's no pollution. There's nothing. So when you talk about cool, crisp air, literally, it's wonderful.
Yeah, this past year, I was in West Yellowstone.
Wow.
And we went up. We got up to almost 9,000 feet. And I'll tell you, it was flat out cold.
I believe it.
I mean, it was just outright cold. I mean, you're hot, and then all of a sudden get up there, and it's like,
and that's another big thing is like, I don't even know. I haven't done this a lot, but like a big thing, especially if you're going to be staying outside for a long time and dealing with cold, is like sweat management.
Mm-hmm.
I had a lot of friends that were like hikers. That's a big thing I always talked about. It's like, you got to be careful about like allowing yourself to be cold at the beginning, because if you're going to start to like hike, you want to be able to like warm up as you're hiking, but you don't want to like overheat up beforehand, then sweat, and then hike, and then of course the sweat's gonna like freeze you up more.
Well, that's one of the things that's going to sound really goofy and random facts and knowledge.
You're right.
But the worst thing you can do if it's cold outside is to put your jacket on in the house and then go outside.
That's right.
You're actually supposed to go outside and then put your jacket on. And it has something to do with how you're.
Yeah. They always taught me, if you're going to go hiking and you're going to be like, if you get out of your car, like have your base layers, but if you're going to get out of your car, don't immediately reach for your jacket unless you feel like you are getting like too cold.
Right.
But for the most part, like allow yourself to kind of be cold as you're unpacking all your equipment. Get ready to go, because once you start putting your jackets on and your backpacks and everything, you don't want to have to then stop to then like take off layers.
Right.
So they were saying that's the thing, is like if you start to put your jacket on, get all your stuff out, work up a sweat, and then start hiking, that sweat's not going to be able to like evaporate in time.
Right.
And you're just going to
And that's why they don't
freeze
want you
yourself
to
out.
do that while you're in the house, because you're getting ready and you're doing this and you start sweating on the inside those clothes.
Right.
And that gets cold,
Yeah.
you're going to be miserable.
Especially if you have some really like, really insulating jackets or some way.
We don't know how to buy that here in South Louisiana.
No.
They
We never
don't
have to.
We never have to. So we always buy something over-exaggerated because we think it's, and then it stays in the closet and we pull it out twice a decade or something.
The 2 or 3 days out of every handful of years is not worth it.
Right.
There was one time, there's a brand called Canadian Goose, like jackets. They're so nice. Very expensive, but they're like, they're good jackets. I had a handful of friends in Canada that had them. And I really considered, because I like the look of them, and I'm also a sucker for jackets. But I honestly tried. I was going to buy one. And then when I realized that whenever I come back down to the States, or if I come back down to Louisiana, there's no way I would ever use that jacket around here. It's just...
Yeah, well, it would be too hot.
It would be way too hot.
Yeah, I mean,
even on some of our more colder days, there's just no way.
It's overkill here.
Yeah.
I remember when I was in, we would camp a lot in Colorado. I got a Peak 1 sleeping bag.
Okay, yeah.
And it was rated a -20.
Believe it. I believe it.
Wow.
That thing was comfy, though.
Yeah, I bet.
It was comfy.
Well, it has to if you're going to be up in those environments.
Yeah. But anything less than probably 9,000 elevation, and you're probably like, this is probably a bit much.
The last year I was there, we were snowmobiling into July.
Wow,
we had
that's
blizzard
impressive.
conditions, and we were so high, you could still do, a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And it was fun. I miss that a lot.
That sounds cool.
And now Miranda does not like the cold. So chances of me going back there are really slim.
Mallory's the same way. She really doesn't like the cold at all.
Yeah, I mean, when I went to West Yellowstone, we went up some lift, up some tall mountain. It's some specific thing you go visit up there. And it was actually in Jackson Hole.
Mm-hmm.
And it was sleeting and snowing up there. And I was like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
Just how extreme weather can be depending on where you're at.
Oh, yeah.
It's like...
I believe it.
You go back down and so you're hot.
Yeah.
So it's... I mean, it was like...
On my road trip back home, from like moving back home, there was a specific transition where I remember having my jackets on. The car that we were in didn't have like a super strong heater, but it kept the car decent. And I remember crossing over the border between Arkansas and Louisiana, and it got hot enough. It got upwards of 70-something degrees, where it all of a sudden my friend and I that came back with me, we were both sitting there with our jackets and scarves on, and we're sitting here like, what are we doing? Get all this stuff off of us. And we're like, oh, it's because we like crossed over into Louisiana. Now it's hot now. So we're like, and it was literally like within a day or two.
And see, I mean, I like cool weather. I don't like
cold.
Yeah,
don't get me wrong. Yes.
I think I mentioned before, like, to me, my ideal would be like 80-degree highs and maybe 40-degree lows.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
That would be perfect.
And see, I would like it more 70-ish. And
That's what I was
40,
gonna say.
I could do that. 80 still just a little too warm for me.
Well,
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking like more like beach stuff. Like
no,
if I'm
on
gonna
the
be,
beach, I want it hot.
yeah.
I mean, I want it hot if I'm on the beach.
But if I'm gonna be doing anything around here, I'm like, I don't want it any higher than
I'm gonna
70.
be running a half marathon here in about 2 weeks, and I'm hoping the weather.
Oh, okay.
I'm hoping that the weather cooperates. I'm hoping it's not like this. That would be
That'd be hard.
That would be tough.
So you run a lot, huh?
I do.
That's good.
I like to run.
I went and I ran the other day for the first time in a long time, and I had to stop after 2 minutes because I forgot something.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, I forgot I was old and fat and can't run.
You know, I never was a distance runner. I'll be honest with you. I was a weightlifter. So I was a power lifter. So I was all into lifting big iron and doing all that stuff. And my doctor eventually says, he goes, you know, Jason, you really need to start backing off on that weight and actually doing a little running. And I actually got involved with Spartan racing, which is,
Okay.
I don't know if y'all have seen that, but it's obstacle course racing.
Right.
At trails.
Yeah.
And and some of that stuff is challenging. I ran a race like that in Asheville, North Carolina, which was brutal. Matter of fact, several times I was looking at myself going,
You're like, I can't.
why am I doing this at my
Yeah.
age? You know, what am I trying to prove here? But, I mean, I was crawling on my hands and knees going up, you know, a very steep inclines. You can imagine the terrain in Asheville, North Carolina.
I have another friend of mine who does that, and he comes back to work. He works with me, and he looks like he got his ass whooped.
You do get your ass whooped. You do, and
Mm-hmm.
I can't do it anymore. I'm just my age is starting to have caught up with me. So all I do is run.
Sometimes there's a difference between challenging yourself and really beating yourself up. I feel like
And abusing yourself.
Yeah, right.
I mean, if I was in my
Well,
30s,
and that's
if I
what-
was in
yeah,
my
right.
30s, then it wouldn't be that big of a deal. But when you're 50 plus,
right.
you know, your body's just telling you, you know, just
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's like
you can't do that anymore.
That's what I mean.
That's why I had to stop running after 2 minutes the other day.
And that's what I'm saying about like I'm not meaning like knowing your limit, I guess is what I should say. I'm not saying like you're beating yourself up, but like if you can handle like a Spartan race and you can do it and you can probably recover pretty well, that's cool. But like you're saying, if after doing it a handful of times, you're like, I feel like I'm hurting myself more than I'm.
Yeah, I mean,
anyway,
it's
like, yeah, you know, just
gets to a point where it's just I loved it. I just wish I would have been able to get involved with it when I was a lot younger.
right.
Now I couldn't, but running, you can run.
Oh yeah.
A matter of fact, I did a race in early part of the month, and there was a guy who was 80 years old
Oh, I don't doubt it.
that was running,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
and it was a 10K,
Wow.
and they didn't even have a category for him.
I mean,
It was just unbelievable.
Yeah.
That guy, I'm looking there, I said, that's what I want to be at his age.
So does he come first and last in his category then?
Yeah, he does.
oh
Okay.
yeah, it
I'm
does.
just
Because there
checking.
was no one, I don't think there was anybody older than he was.
He gets all
I
the
forget what he finished in, but he did really well.
Wow.
Yeah.
interesting.
So I've known older people that run.
So will you run in this weather? So let's say the rain stops. Do you practice? Will you go out in this 20-degree weather or 19-degree weather and go run? Or what will you do there?
No, I won't run. Now, if it's a paid race and it just happens to be that kind of weather, then you kind of well, you've paid money and,
Mm-hmm.
you know, but just to go run in it, no.
So you won't practice or
No. I'll go hit the treadmill, or I will. I'll wait till it warms up, and run. I mean, I'm not one to.
would they cancel a race like that because of this weather?
I don't know what they would do. I doubt it. If the only way I would think a race would be canceled would be if it would be an ice event where roads were shut down and the public safety personnel that are required to work the event can't be there. I think in a case like that, they would.
Okay.
But if it's just a cold day
Right.
and it's a pretty day, but it's 25 degrees,
Yeah.
you're probably going to have to go out there and run it. I mean, that's just what it is.
Better
So
get some hand warmers.
yeah, I mean, so you bundle up, but you're surprised. You warm up
Oh, I
pretty
bet.
good running.
Yeah.
I mean, your body's temperature, gets up 25, 30
I'm pretty
degrees,
sure. I'm pretty sure
so
you can wear specific garments to help out certain areas.
It does. Yeah,
I'm pretty sure with your legs and your core, I'm pretty sure you probably be hitting up pretty good.
But yeah, I'm hoping that this race is just a hit and miss because it's in January and sometimes it could be mild.
Oh yeah.
To me, the ideal temperature is somewhere between 45 and 50.
Okay. For running?
If you're running.
Okay, cool.
I would think that would be a little light, but no, I could see that.
45 to 50 to me. At least that's what I love because your body's like, you're 80 degrees or so when you're done.
Oh, yeah, right.
But
really working up.
I mean,
that's interesting. How long have you been running for?
I've really started just pure running probably in the last 5 years.
Oh, wow.
Okay,
you do 10Ks and...
I do 10Ks. I do half marathons. I do 5Ks.
What?
I have no desire. I've done 12Ks.
Oh, gosh.
Well,
marathon's what, 24, right?
26.
26.
26. I think it's 26.2.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's 26.2 because a half is 13.1.
Wow.
So I haven't run. The furthest I've run is on a road race.
Right.
Has been. Now, I did do a Spartan race where I did go over 13, and that really kicked my butt.
Right.
I mean,
do you have a
my doctor tells me, says, Jason, you're going to need new knees.
Oh no, that's not good.
So I'm like, well, I mean, I just enjoy running. I really do. I mean, and I don't run a lot.
Was it the same doctor that said you should stop lifting weights and start running?
Yes.
Yeah, you're like, now you look what you did.
So
well,
ask
he said,
him,
Jason, you need to have some balance in your life.
I would ask him if this is called under warranty.
Yeah.
If you told me to go do it and I messed my knees up, then you should cover that, right?
Doctor's orders.
Yeah.
You got me hooked. It's your fault.
Because when you turn 60, you're going to need new knees. It's like, well, I hope not.
Yeah, please no. I was going to say, do you have like an achievement that you're like most proud of, in running?
I mean,
no. Like
I generally try to time. I think the fastest I've run a half marathon is somewhere, I think, an hour and 45 minutes.
Wow.
I think it was an hour 45. So I try to keep them under 2.
Okay. I didn't know if there was like any one thing in particular like you got you.
I've got a lot of what I call bling hanging at my house that I've accumulated over the years.
I see.
Basically stuff that's going to be sold in a garage sale one day.
Right.
Or thrown away. But, I've got a lot of medals. Now, I have no desire to even attempt a full marathon.
Really?
I have plenty of people that do. For the medal would have to be like really impressive.
Right.
For me to even contemplate trying to run 26 miles.
Is there like any kind of like cash or no?
I mean,
or any kind of other prizes that they could, besides just a medal and clout? Is there just like
I think most people would say I've run a marathon. I can see the allure of that to say, hey, I've run a marathon before.
Right.
Mm-hmm. All this weather and this healthy talk has got me thinking. I would like to start a gym that's called Resolutions.
Oh, gosh,
and the first 2 weeks of the year, you work out, and then the rest of the year, it's a wine bar.
Love it.
What do you think? No? Jason's looking at me like, you're such an idiot.
Stoney, no.
What?
You got to be able to work out. You need, typical, like right now the gyms are empty.
Oh,
because everybody's giving up working out.
Right.
So,
but then what happens is everybody will have a New Year's resolution, and they'll do it for 2 weeks, and then they'll give it up.
They'll just. I'm telling you, the hardest thing about working out and fitness, to me, is it's 6 months. If you can get 6 months in, then it develops a habit,
right?
And you'll go. But if you don't, it's just hard to get up because. I know during COVID, I had stopped working out altogether because everything pretty much shut down.
Oh, yeah, right. You couldn't do anything.
And when finally everything kind of reopened again, but it had been almost 2 years since I really had lifted a weight. Well, I've kind of started working out again, but I'm gonna tell you, those first few months, were tough.
I bet.
I mean, it was like even somebody that's been working out pretty much all my life.
Right.
It's hard to get that routine going again.
That was like my brother. He does a lot of like powerlifting and stuff, and he likes to go to the gym a lot. That's one thing he'll always say about January. He's like, January comes around, I'm always like, oh gosh, I don't want to go to the gym because everyone's using the equipment either incorrectly or just taking up the equipment or sitting on the equipment or whatever. And he's just like, come on, like he's voiced his frustrations with the January season with going to the gym. So
what's his weightlifting? His big 3 totals? You know,
I don't know off the top of my head. I know that like initially he started off like wanting to lift twice his body weight, I think, or his body weight, I think initially, and then of course like worked up to it.
Oh, yeah, if you get twice your body weight,
right.
That's
And
pretty
so
good.
I think he at one point in time before he got Crohn's and like lost a bunch of body weight and like which was before the summertime. I'm pretty sure he was doing pretty well. I think he got pretty close to doing twice his body weight, like powerlifting it, and then after he got diagnosed, he had a lot of digestive stuff and lost a lot of weight, and he was really upset about that, and it kind of scared me for a second because he started looking like thin, and it was like, oh buddy, like in a very short amount of time. But now he's been on treatments, he's doing good, he's been kind of like incrementally going back. I don't think he's quite where he was before, but he's gotten better though. The medicine's really been helping him out, like working him out. So
sometimes that heavy weight, I mean, it does take a toll on you.
Right.
It really does.
For him, he's got good friends and good people, and he knows his form and stuff. He's never hurt himself ever. He's not in it for show. It's more for himself.
So he doesn't compete.
No.
Okay.
No, not that.
I worked at a gym back when I was, back in my college years, and that was a powerlifting, bodybuilding type gym. So the guys that worked, even some of the ladies, they were serious.
Yeah,
I mean, we're talking
the
big
most
time lifters.
The most that he had was like friendly competition. Him and his buddies would kind of like try and match weights and stuff.
So he never got into like the shows and stuff like that.
No.
See, I remember I was a part of all that.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, that was watching those guys, what they do, especially when they have to diet. They're trying to shred and do all the things. They reduce their calorie intakes, and they're still trying to lift what they...
Right.
Like,
that's crazy.
It's crazy stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I believe it.
Good stuff. So all I do is just run now. It's a lot easier.
There's a local gym that I have a friend of mine that goes to, and I'm really considering like going there and like trying to make a regular habit out of it. I need to go to the gym more. The big thing for me, like I know I'm pretty fit in a lot of ways, but the big thing for me is my diet. If I can clean my diet up a lot, I'm pretty sure I could look.
They say diet's 80% of the battle.
Yep. And that's what I'm saying. I know that.
They'll say what you are, what you eat.
Yep.
Yep. Key is carbs.
Right.
Sugars, carbs in the shit. That's where you get in trouble. And the problem is so much of our food is so it's heavy into that unless you really are kind of disciplined in how you go about eating.
So I like for me, I'm not super stressed about it right now, but I know I probably need to. I'm knocking on.
Right now, you can get away with it.
Right.
Eventually, you're going to get to a point where you're going to have to take it
in my early to mid 20s. Like I had such a quick metabolism, it was no big deal.
Right.
But now that I'm knocking on 30 pretty soon, it's like I know I need to be more.
You're still good right now.
I know. But what I'm saying is like there are.
But you'll need to start.
I need to start watching. Is the big thing.
Probably your mid 30s is kind of when you'll start.
Right.
That's kind of like those early signs.
Yeah.
So you're knocking on 30s, and I'm knocking on heaven's door already. So.
Stop it.
They say if a food has a commercial, it's probably bad for you.
Oh
yeah.
So that's an easy rule right there. If you see a commercial for it, put it down.
Like I don't have it. I used to watch it like McDonald's.
Oh yeah.
I used to eat that food all the time when I was young. I have not eaten at a fast food place. I can't tell you how many years.
Really?
Yes. Do not eat fast food, especially McDonald's French fries, which I love. But when I see a French fry that looks the same after a year, okay, that's probably not what I want to put in my body.
Right.
I just want to eat some more of Stoney's gumbo.
I still never had it, so I never actually had this
It was a
gumbo.
pretty good gumbo. It was pretty good. I think everybody was pretty pleased with it. I do it every year at work around this time, and
It was a nice event.
It was. It was really nice.
That's cool.
We have some good leadership where I work, and they give us a number of opportunities a year to kind of, disconnect from the job and fellowship with each other and just kind of love on each other and take a deep breath. And this is just some nice events, and it was really nice. We did a nice little white elephant gift thing too at work, and boy, it's vicious.
Oh, yeah.
It was vicious.
Yeah, I heard about that.
It was fun. It was a lot of fun. And luckily this year I got number 1.
Okay.
Oh, really?
So,
okay. Well,
I don't
congratulations.
know if you know the rules, but
Yeah.
I get the final say. So it was pretty fun, and I
messed
stole
over
something pretty nice.
You mess over some people.
Yeah, I stole something pretty nice, but it was fun. It was a good
I've
event.
never been a big fan of. I'm not usually like a really competitive person, anyways. Just in my regular life, and I've never really been a big fan of like the whole white elephant secret, or
Really?
the Secret Santa more so. But white elephant, no. I don't.
I love the white elephant.
I never liked it because I don't like the idea of stealing presents and like all the whole thing. I'm okay with it. I'm fine. But
Some people get upset.
I know.
You got to be careful.
Well, what was really funny about this one was we had 22 participants,
Oh, yeah,
and
that's great.
more than half revolved around alcohol somehow.
Nice.
Wine opening sets, wine tumblers, this, that, and
Right.
the other thing.
Oh, wow.
It was awesome. It was
I
great.
missed out on that.
So I chimed in. I said, yeah, that's right. This job's going to have me drinking, doing drugs, or going to church. And to be honest, that's just too early to get up on Sundays.
Oh my gosh.
So it was a good time. It
for
really
me,
was.
the office that I'm a part of, they did that same thing. They were like, we're gonna get Ian all riled up and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, that's not gonna happen. They tried their best, and I was like, I'm just not. I participated. I had a gift, and it was really awesome. Everyone enjoyed it. Everyone had a fun
You're
time.
really
I was
fun to kind of mess with because your facial expressions are awesome.
Right.
It's
But that was exactly what, like Mallory was also there, and then she was also, kind of poking fun. It was fun, but at the same time, I was like, of all the, I don't want to do this.
I really don't mind being the brunt of the joke sometimes,
Right.
which on this podcast I have been.
Right.
And it's all about being nice and loving on people, and
Right.
that's what this time, and I know we talked, this is the weather episode,
Yeah, right.
but this time of year is really awesome, and I'm glad I got to spend some time with you guys.
Yeah.
And I guess we're gonna start winding down here now.
Yep.
And I enjoyed this.
Yeah.
This was a good one. I know this weather's got a lot of people's minds, and please be careful. Please.
Of course.
One thing I would like to say to some of these dumbasses that drive around in these big trucks in South Louisiana, it is actually illegal to do the speed limit if it's raining or sleeting. The speed limit is due to optimum conditions. So if it says 55 on the sign, that's under perfect driving conditions.
Right.
If it's snowing or ice or something like that, that's not an optimum condition. Slow the hell down. Slow down.
Yeah.
You can still get a ticket for doing the speed limit in a less than optimum condition. Have you heard that too, Jason?
I actually have now.
Yeah.
In practice, does it happen very often? No. Unless there's a crash, and then they could be cited for reckless operation or
slow
careless.
down. Remember, you got people that count on you, people that love you, and just take care of yourself.
One thing that I realized is you'd be surprised, no matter how fast you try and drive, you're never going to get to the destination you want to go faster.
There was an interesting thing done on one of the interstates in South Louisiana. We have 10 and 12. 10 is the big one that goes the breadth of the state.
Right.
And in the capital city in Baton Rouge, the Louisiana State Police did a quick little study, and what they did was from one end of the city to the other, they picked 2 markers. I forgot what the 2 markers were, and they did the speed limit, and then they did 10 miles over the speed limit and then did 20 miles. If you went from point A to point B, if you did faster than the speed limit, you only saved yourself like 2.5 minutes.
Right. Well, a lot of times
really stupid the time that you didn't really save
right.
by driving so haphazardly.
I think people are just, they don't want to go where they're going. I think people just drive aggravated a lot.
Well,
or their lives are more important than everybody else's.
The whole point that I was making is that one thing that I realized living in a different country was like getting there quicker is not going to change anything.
Dude, you're nailing it on the head, because only in America, I agree 100% with you, because everywhere else when you drive, it's not a right, it's a privilege.
Yeah.
We look at it as we own the road and it's our right. So I agree with you 100%.
For me, I realized I like just driving moderately. It's like, I mean, you're going to get, because again, the thing is that I've realized is like red lights always catch you. Mm-hmm. You can race as fast as you want to, and then we're all sitting there as a team at the red light.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, and they will notice that time and time again. You'll just keep on racing. And before you know it, you and every other person you passed up is sitting at a red light. Mm-hmm. And it's like, and the thing is, at the same time, it's like you're putting yourself at risk, and it's also stressing you out when it's like, there's no need to. Just calm down. There's no big deal. Just cruise.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right. 100%.
You're going to get there when you're going to get there. It's not a big deal.
Never agreed with
you.
They don't. I love that. That's
a lot
awesome.
of times people leave too late.
So of course,
I get it. And I say it goes back to what I've said. I do believe a lot of people leave late,
right?
Because they really don't want to be going to where they're going.
You're right.
So it compresses the time frame in which they want to get
there. But mentally, they do that to themselves. So I get to work 30 minutes early, and I sit there in my car for a few minutes and I relax. Then I walk into work.
Right.
And I start my day off not in a hurried fashion. These people that come in 1 minute ahead of time to punch in right at the right time without being late, that sets the precedent for your whole day. So you're really doing that miserable shit to yourself.
Yeah.
I hate to say that. You're stressed, like Ian said,
out.
You're stressing yourself out.
Yep.
You're creating these health issues. You're creating this whole mentality for the day. And then when you can't catch up in your day, you're just mad at the world. You're mad at everybody around you. You're mad at your job. Then you blame your bosses. Now you're going to blame the people that were in your way trying to get to work because you didn't want to leave on time or with enough time to get there.
Yep. You're right. So, it does. Unfortunately,
Ian, you nailed that one, buddy.
I realized, like in my youth, my like later youth, early 20s kind of stuff. I realized I was like, it's so much more work to try and conjure up excuses for not being on time, and I was like, it's just so tiring to just show up on time, just quit coming up excuses, quit whining about it, just be there.
Well, we have a mutual friend. His name is William, and his dad is Carl, and he has these Carlisms.
Right.
And one of them was, if you're not 15 minutes early, you're late.
Yep. I believe
you're late.
And especially in this, the hard part is, especially I wasn't around before this day and age, so I mean, I feel like I talk about it, but I just feel like now no one's on time ever. Like I've in my friend group, at some of my family events, stuff like that, is like if you say 2:00, everyone's going to show up at 3:30 or 2:30 or 3. And so for me, it's like, and that's
I can't do that.
And so many people, and it's just so normalized that it's like I will say this time, and no one's going to be there beforehand. But it's like I don't get that. I don't like that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, if you say 2:00, I'm going to be knocking on the door at 2:00.
Right.
I mean, if we're talking about like friend events, if we're talking about work stuff, usually I'm always there early.
Mm-hmm.
Like for stuff that it like requires me to, be doing something functional in some way.
Or you're kind of laid back. You don't want all that stress, so you're not going to put it on yourself. There's enough stress as it is without adding to it yourself. And we know this from the where we're at work, Jason. You don't want to add. There's enough there.
Yes, believe me, there's enough there
for everybody.
And then of course, like I said, and that's like for me, sometimes I'd show up a little bit late or whatever. I show up right on time or stuff like that, and then of course, usually some person in some authority has to ask, like, well, why were you late and what happened? Like all that. That's what I'm saying. It's like it's just that whole song and dance of like just be there, and then like you don't have to worry about all that. That's what I realized. I was like, so you mean to tell me I can like wake up a little bit early, get dressed, go to work, and then just not have to worry about like the song and dance of like, well, let me think of I had this thing going on. I had this thing, like just I don't know. It's tiring, stressful.
I got to be at work for 8, and a lot of times I'm generally at the office between 7:15 and 7:30.
Yeah,
that's generally how it works for me. Sometimes I'm there earlier,
Mm-hmm.
but I stop and get coffee in the morning.
Oh yeah, I love that. That's so cool.
So I like to take my time, and a lot of times just how fast I'm moving in the morning.
Now, one thing. Speaking of getting coffee, as we wrap up the end of this episode, my espresso machine came in.
Oh.
And now it's a Christmas present, so I'm not going to be opening it, quote unquote, opening it until this Saturday. But hopefully by the next podcast we'll do, hopefully we can have some nice coffee.
Speaking of that, I had a friend of mine who also listens to this show.
Okay.
And she sent me a picture of her new coffee machine. She goes, I am loving my espresso machine. Yeah. I think your co-host from the podcast will love his.
Awesome.
Well,
is that yours?
Let me see. Hold on. Yes, it is. I actually believe it's the same one. I got for those of you at home. I got a Breville Barista Pro is the one that I got. It's there are, like I said before, there are ones that I want to get. There is one that I want to get, but it, like I said, it's closer to like $1,200 for the whole kit, and it's like a little bit more. It's a little bit steeper a price tag than I think
you'll get there.
Would that be something that would be like at a Starbucks or a
a little bit. It's still. Oh man, we're really getting into. I
don't want to dive off into coffee again.
That's a bigger question. They have different styles of machine. They have manual, semi-automatic, automatic, and the Starbucks is always extra. The Starbucks machine is a super automatic, so it's like its own special thing. The one I'm getting and the one that I would like to get is manual. So it is the really expensive one that I want to get has like standard fittings and is easier to do maintenance on. Mm-hmm. You can go get like a regular coffee espresso machine, like maintenance guy, just like you would like a plumber or something. Right. You can call him, and that machine he could service in your home. Oh, wow. That kind of thing. It's like a lot of standard fittings for stuff, whereas the Breville one is more on like the consumer level. Okay. So like if it breaks, like you really kind of got to do it yourself kind of thing. Gotcha. Where a person like that may not be able to help you. So it's like things like that. There's also other things with that machine that are special about it, but neither here nor there. But one that I did get, I'm super excited about, and I can't wait.
I'm sure with this cold weather, there'll be a lot of coffee consumption going on.
Especially on Christmas Day.
Yes, right. Y'all remember, the weather's getting bad. Be careful.
Yeah.
And if I see one more person texting and driving, I'm going to roll my window down and throw my beer at them.
Yeah. You should have a sack of rocks.
Yeah. Got to wash that beer.
Yeah, right.
Man, y'all are not laughing. Man, y'all are a tough crowd today. Good Lord.
I caught that one.
Yes, you did.
Man.
The hard part,
that one didn't go over my head like the other one did.
Man, y'all are a tough crowd today. I hope our listeners are more in the joking spirit than y'all are today.
I'm hoping we get some responses here.
Right.
So, everybody out there.
For all those who are looking to reach out to us or have comments on our jokes or have any kind of
lack
suggestions or lack thereof, you can go to facebook.com/retrospectpod and reach out to us there. Or you can go to linktree/retrospectpod and you can see all the different platforms that we stream on and all that other jazz. But anyways, until next week, thank you so much for listening. Bye-bye.
Good night, everyone. God bless.
Peace.